If you enjoyed mining as a child, you should have been born in the 1800s. But if you enjoyed trapping villagers in cages and farming, then killing them, then you should have been born in the 1900s, because most of the world's high-impact bad people were active in that century for good and for bad. Well, actually, no, mostly for bad. But today, I wonder which of them has the best Minecraft seed, and so today, we'll be finding that out. But indeed, it's important to start when talking about a heavy topic like this by clarifying that this is my feeling on side, and so now that you know that I'm on the good side, you can hopefully decide to subscribe to the channel, if not because you'll see more videos like this, then because if there was going to be a side, it would obviously happen to the top category first, so make sure you get yourself out of that and get yourself into the methodology of this video. I want to see how terrible a Minecraft seed is after using one of these terrible people as the world seed, and we're going to use 3 factors to work out what that is. The first is how bad of a place this is to be born. This is something we can do by looking around the spawn solely on its building merits. Then we can work out how much the world wants to kill you if you type this in. This is going to be based on distance to hostile structures, and I've got a very detailed list of how we'll work out whether it's a 0 to 5, but basically the closer something wants to kill you is, the worse a seed is, I think. And the third is how hungry you will go. One of the consistent ways that you can kill a lot of people and get away with it is by simply letting them die by not giving them food. And so how hungry will these seeds let you go? Well, that's something we'll be finding out, and ranking that again 0 to 5 to give us a total score of somewhere between 0 to 15 on how hostile a seed is. So now we just need to know which seeds we'll be testing, and this is actually hard to come up with because first of all, how do you measure how many people a dictator genocided? It's not something you can just Google. Trust me, I tried. There isn't a handy dandy Wikipedia table for this, so instead we have to work out how many people a dictator really killed. I mean, do you count war? If so, are your leaders killing people every day? But instead I've compared 3 separate estimates to create this list in order of reverse death count, and also with all of these names I'll be using the non-capitalized versions because I don't think that people who killed millions deserve respect. Certainly not when loading up a Minecraft world, they don't, and so the way we'll be typing in these genoseeds is going to be using the full name in lowercase, and we're going to start with the best one from our list. I don't want to say best actually, but the one who killed the fewest people, the one who was worst at doing something terrible, and that is Kim Il-sung. I legitimately do not know what to expect from this one, but what I can tell you is that Kim Il-sung is actually the most recent genocidal dictator from this list, and indeed kind of only finished in the 1990s, which is when the famines and all that sort of stuff started. It is worth mentioning there was lots of persecution, including what I thought was interesting of like Christian minorities. A lot of Asian countries do not have a heavy Christian population, but interestingly Korea always has, and that includes North Korea, which is a problem because under the Juche socialism they use, being religious is seen as a crime against the state. But unlike the citizens of the people who live under this country, I'm going to be able to get out of survival mode and show you what it looks like in creative. This is a beautiful spawn. I don't love the fact that there's a dark oak right behind me and a ocean right ahead of me, but as you can see, we spawn in this beautiful little birch forest, enough to entice you in, you might say, until you see the horrors that lie below it, because having this much dark oak between you and anything else, honestly, not a lot of fun. If we're lucky, we might see a pale oak garden, you know, like I think that would be nice. But I don't think we are lucky today. Yup, literally none anywhere nearby. Now, this is great if you're looking for a seed that is out to kill you, like these dictators are, because this is a seed that if you want to build on, I mean, it's not as tricky as if we had a mountain. Mountains are great if you want an awful spawn that's tricky to mess with, but you know, unlike that, the roof forest here could be burnt down, meaning that it's only really a, you know, like a 2 out of 5 horrible seed. It does have some potential, and that potential also expands to food. Sadly, this isn't a great Minecraft seed if you're looking to starve your guests, because as well as having an ocean where you can access fish, you can also go into this biome where theoretically you might find some sheep or some other mobs. I can't see any near here, but you also get these big red and brown mushrooms, so you could make mushroom stew, making starving your subjects just a little bit harder than it needs to be. So I think that this is at best a 3, but realistically it's more like a 2 for how bad the food is, and it's more like a 2 for how bad the spawn is. It's definitely not my favorite by a long shot, but you could work with it. As to how hostile this seed is, I'm sorry to say, but I think it might be a 0. I think that this is not very good at all in terms of like hostile structures immediately coming to get people. If you're looking to be murdered by pillagers right off the bat, the best we've got as far as hostility goes is a half complete, or not even half complete, a 40% complete Nether portal. That's not great at all. Yeah, we can't even complete it from this. So if you want to die, you have to go 900 blocks to this, or I presume you can go into the ocean, and somewhere in there there'll be an ocean monument. I have not seen one this entire time, though. Absolutely no sign of anything, but if we go back to our exact spawn area, then we can find out our nearest monument is 1700 blocks away. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. By the end of the 20th century, it just got a lot harder to decide people and get away with it, and that is something that really shows in this seed right here. But even though this seed gets just a 4 out of 15, I'm sure we can improve that as we go into the second seed here. So second on our list of genocidal dictators is Pol Pot, who I accidentally loaded up using full capitals, like I said I wouldn't do, but I do think it's interesting that we have a country. It kind of looks like a Southeast Asian nation with how hot and dry it is here, but also interestingly, there is a pillager outpost just about to attack a village on this. Also, there's a church in the ground here. That's not a church. That's just a pile of rocks. Anyway, the real seed. There we go. Pol Pot is a genocidal dictator that most people know, but can't actually name too much about specifically what they did. Well, interestingly, like many other dictators, Pol Pot was a revolutionary, and as part of his, rise to power, he believed that he needed to actually make sure that he only associated with those that were part of the cause, and so he did the classic, killed everyone who did not look like they were the same, and that literally meant down to physical characteristics. People who wore glasses were often seen as being from the city, which were not the peasant farmers that were part of the revolt, and they were deemed to be intelligent, maybe even opposition figures, so they were murdered on that basis. And indeed, if you spawn in a frozen tiger wasteland, you're probably gonna die on a food level. If you want to get food, the only realistic way is to, I guess you could dig down below the ice and see if there's some salmon down there. That is an option. And your second option is to hope that there's some non-frozen tiger, which I don't believe you are going to find here, because then you could find sweet berries. So food is hard to come by until you find this village, which, very fun in my opinion, goes directly across this ravine. I kind of like that. This isn't a hostile structure though, and it is kind of taking away some of the side credentials of this seed, I've got to say. Otherwise, it's hard to find things to be enthused about with this seed. I mean, sure, this could be a really rough spawn, but because we spawn at the edge of it, we can head towards an iceberg biome. I mean, it's not as good as it could have been before. It's devilishly ruined, I would say. Wow, did they take all of the feedback from the people who actually interacted with the feature and decided to ignore it in favor of imposing their own rules on top? If only there was some analog we could make to that and something in this video. But what I think is interesting is the fact that yes, there is an iceberg biome here, not particularly fun to be near. There is a giant ice tiger that also, again, it's mostly fun for the ice river, but you can easily get out of it, and so I would hate to give the spawn too low of a rating here, because I just don't think it would be accurate. Finding food will be slightly challenging, but not really that much. And interestingly, I did one of the classic checks to see if there were any hostile structures, because I can't see any, and there's just none very close by. It's just not a very good seed for structures besides that village, a shipwreck, and indeed another ruined portal, plus the one in the village. So yeah, if you would like a Minecraft seed that is on the dull side of boring, well, you know, this is kind of where it's at. But we've got 4 more dictators to check out today, and hopefully they can ramp up the interest in their seeds. Because I think a 1 for hostile structures. I wasn't expecting anyone to score that low, but I'm disappointed in you, Pol Pot, for the other stuff too. But you know who else I'm disappointed in? King Leopold II. He was an infamous ruler of Belgium, a country that hadn't been created that long before, and as a result, he was excited to get Belgium into the European game of the time, which was colonialism, which, you know, has its whole own set of what you might call detractors, to put it mildly. But what's interesting about Leopold is he kind of saw the criticisms of colonialism as being a guideline of what to do, and so simply put, lots of people lost at least one hand, and a lot of other people, somewhere in the millions, were killed. This is bad. But is the seed as bad? Well, it's actually my favourite of the seeds as a standard survival player so far, because we've got a nice mixture of planes. You know, there's a little bit of good building you can do right here. Terrible if you're trying to ruin the build for other people, but at least slightly okay because you can build on all of these patches, leaving no spare free space, I guess. But then there is some forest surrounding that, and then you can decide between a jungle in this direction and a savanna in that one. Personally, I think savanna grass is a bit of a blight on my idea of what I would build, but it's very flat, very easy, and there is no rain here, so as long as you're cool with those things and the bright orange tinge we get as we come in here, thanks to vibrant visuals, we can say that actually this is a decent enough world to look around as well. But it is very vertical, again, adding to that anti-building aesthetic. As far as food goes, you do have your standard meat options, and then as well as that, you also have access to some fish. But for the most part, if you really want to get the easiest food, you do have to head all the way to a jungle, which apparently is also found in this direction, where you'll find, on the jungle floor, non-stop free, slightly worthless food. This is a melon. Or is it a watermelon? Anyway, this is a seed that isn't particularly deadly thanks to its abundant food, and thanks more broadly to its abundant... Ooh, wood. Look at that. Look how much bamboo we've got. But yeah, the lack of any structure is really confusing me, actually. I don't think I've ever seen this many seeds in a row that have nothing nearby spawn. But yet, here we are nonetheless. We have the maxed out vibrant visuals render distance of 28 chunks, and yet I can just see nothing anywhere nearby anything. Okay, right by spawn there is this big mountain which leads you into a dripstone cave. Maybe if we follow this all the way down, it would lead us into an ancient city. It was a slightly different series of caves we had to follow, and now we've gone a good couple hundred blocks away from spawn, but there is an ancient city right next door. Basically the only structure you'll find anywhere nearby though. Man, these are some rough survival seeds. If you're looking for an actual great one to start a world, I think these are better like blank kind of slate seeds than anything else. But yeah, if you want all of the cave biomes, this is a great seed. If you would like something that is a bit more of a standard Minecraft seed, well, you're going to have to keep on looking on. But I do love the way this biome slowly lights up as we come through it. Anyway, I think it's time we give this seed a rating. The availability of food is high, which means ability to starve is low. I think we can say that this is a 1 out of 5. It's almost as good as it can be for food. It's also, as far as the hostility of terrain near spawn, probably only a 1. But it does get our first free for number of hostile structures nearby ye. We've now entered the very niche phase of this list, the ones that you might not have heard of, but let me tell you about someone who's so apparently famous that his last name alone is the thing that you can identify him by. Well, this Mr. was someone who was in charge of Germany in the 1930s and 40s and decided that an entire race of people should maybe be not there anymore. And the way he did that was... I guess very, very good if you like trains, and very bad if you like human beings not being exterminated in a mass, systemic, brutal, painful way. Anyway, with that said, we've now got the absolutely diabolical spawn. Honestly, actually, I think I'd go the opposite way. I'd say that this is a really nice spawn. We've got a giant lake here. It's actually an ocean biome, but it looks like a lake. And then we've got an actual lake over here that's just a river that creates a perfect circle into itself. I didn't think rivers were meant to do this. I thought rivers always had to go to the sea, but apparently they can just make a perfect circle, as you can see. Then we've got a village over here, and then we have our first actual hostile structure. So this is a seed that is not hostile towards you in the slightest, but what I can say is that the pillager outpost is in a beautiful set of surroundings here. As you can see, very confusing with these little structures down here, but it is in a beautiful surrounding, and of course, we have a second structure which won't try to kill you, but if you want to kill yourself, you could go there. It is the Ruin Portal Village combo. What a beautiful... Oh, and look, it's not just 33% complete. This time it's more like 66%, I would say. Closer to 60. But still, very lovely. A couple more obsidian in there. Couple blocks on the side here. You just need a diamond pickaxe and you're ready to go to the nether. Although arguably that's always true. Anyway, this is a seed which I would put on my good list, actually. And that is a little bit of a concern, given, you know, the seed name. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think that this seed is only a 1 out of 5 for terribleness. I think genuinely there's only a little bit more you could ask for from a seed, but this is a beautiful version of what it is. Big old plains biome with a weird, look at this, destroyed tree, both types right here. Then we've got a nice patch of flowers. And then we've got this beautiful cherry grove up there. There is a lava pit there. There's everything you could need to build on a seed, to go to the nether on a seed. Any form of function you could want, you probably get easier here than elsewhere. So a 1 out of 5 for terribleness, because honestly, not as bad as I was hoping. For a seed with this name, I was expecting better, Microsoft, come on. But also, I think it's worth mentioning that we are somewhere in the 400-ish blocks away from spawn for this. So this only gets 2 points for its, terribleness on that level. And when it comes to how hard it is to find food, honestly, this might be our first 0, because as well as all of the animals that spawn there and all of the ocean, you've also got a village, which means, especially a plains village, which means direct access to hay bales and therefore bread, and direct access to more hay bales and therefore more bread. And if that wasn't enough, all of the farm animals means that you would have to try so hard to starve here. But yeah, 120, this is the worst seed if you're looking for a genocidal one yet. Ugh, awful. So obviously what you type in has no correlation on what you get for the end result, but let's just type this in here because I'm curious. Have you ever spawned and then immediately been able to freeze to death? Well, that's what this seed offers you. Russia is a country that has always been rich in human resources, and this has led to a bit of a problem in the country and the culture, that its leaders have kind of seen those same people as being disposable. Many of the worst leaders in history, in terms of death toll, can sadly be ascribed to Russia, because killing 1 million people, but progressing the country forwards, was seen as worthwhile. And in that vein, Stalin was seen to be very, very successful because 1 million people would have made him blush. But that's enough for now. Let's talk about exactly what this seed has. Giant cavernous pits right next to your spawn. In case you think to yourself, you know, I'm safe, I can just walk forward. No, you can't. This seed will lead you into a trap because it's not enough to just play Minecraft normally. You have to watch out for the very careful series of traps put out to get you, because that's what society should be. Everyone watching out all the time and feeling like they need to lie just to survive. Also, is this water? It looks like... Oh, yeah, it's so transparent. It's hard to see with vibrant visuals, actually. So you spawn in this giant savanna that has more ravines than I think I've seen in post 1.18 generation ever, but if you are willing to cross the entire thing, you'll find a village. It's an interesting village, though, because it starts at just the edge of the savanna here, then continues into the plains, and goes so far into the plains that it actually crosses into the jungle. This means with not that much extra effort, you could get some jungle villagers, because, fun fact, if a villager is born in the jungle, doesn't matter what his parents are like, he's a jungle villager now. Well, I mean, if you're actually in the jungle. And the same is true for the savannah, so if you wanted a multiracial village, just like the Soviet Union, you could have it. Which, you know, there's nothing more equal than killing people regardless of their ethnicity, I think. But what I also think is interesting is the fact that there is this giant F-off mountain over here. And it's weird to see one of this size in a savanna. This is notable to me. But yeah, as far as things that will kill you, I'm not in love with this seed. You either have to pick your own poison with the ruined portal, or go deep below this giant mountain, where I'm just making the assumption, because of the size of this cave, that it will have not just an abandoned mineshaft, but I presume also an ancient city too. I presume wrong, but it is a very cool cave, I've got to say. Honestly, this seed is really cool for being an endless savanna. You don't have to deal with rain here, which is, I mean, like, one of the essential ingredients in the real world. Thankfully not in Minecraft. And if you want to find a structure that wants to kill you, you've got to go a whopping 700 and... what is this? 64 plus 28? 792 blocks away from the spawn if you want to find a structure that wants to kill you. Which means that, technically speaking, this gets a 1 for trying to kill you on that way. As far as poor food, I think that, like, it's a 2. It's only food that you naturally will kill yourself, plus a village if you go far enough. Not too great. And as far as hostility of the terrain, not really. This is a nice seed. It's just a basic nice seed, you know? Oh, not even basic. Look at this. They got the Mesa Hoodoos. Love those things. Anyway, there's also a desert temple. It's a really cool warm seed. If you like warmth, then this is the exact opposite of the Soviet Union, which maybe Stalin wouldn't have liked. So the highest, or indeed lowest place on our list goes to Mao Zedong. Thanks to the Great Leap Forward, which he was leader during the time of, there was a great famine which killed, depending on which source you use, somewhere between 15 and 100 million people. This is a pretty bad thing, and although we can try and summarize it as best as possible in a Minecraft video, I would say that although we can blame the killing of sparrows, which led to all sorts of pests those sparrows were eating, although we can blame it on that, I think one of the key takeaways is always the fact that people wanted to be allied with Mao, the great leader, recovering the country from the century of humiliation, and so many of the local leaders were willing to fudge their numbers a little bit, fudge their information to make it look like things were going better than they were, leading to the national picture to make them think they had a surplus of food when actually they had absolutely none, which also describes us exactly here. The only food you'll really be finding in a snowy taiga, which covers everywhere anywhere near spawn, is maybe the occasional rabbit. There's not a bunch of food because just like the food situation in China, on the surface everything looks entirely fine, but if you look below it, you'll see that it's built on some flawed foundations. Look at this, by the way. This is absolutely wild. You love to see the weird structures like this, and apparently Mao is what you've got to type in if you'd like to see it. There are also, by the way, this is built into a crazy cave. Like, look at this. This is absolutely wild. There's glow squid in here too. No, that's not a glow squid. That's a glowing sack. There was a glowing squid in here at some point. Anyway, so the weird thing about this seed is if we go anywhere in any direction, it doesn't have a nice variety of like, oh, tiger here, snowy tiger. No, this is all snowy tiger. Finding food is going to be very hard, which I think is a little too on the nose for this seed if you ask me. But also, it's really rough to build here because if you look around, you can see that it's all exclusively this snow wintry biome, which means that you're going to find like ice and snow just builds on top of anything you make. So even the flat parts, which there aren't very many of, aren't actually practical for doing long-term building on. You can go hundreds of blocks in any direction before finding a realistic structure, and when you do go through all of those blocks down this massive river, what you'll find at the end is simply a pillager outpost. Barely at the edge of our 800 block radius, I believe, which means we're going to give it a 1 for how much it wants to kill you with structures. But as far as how much it wants to kill you with terrain, I'm going to say a 4. And when it comes to food, this is genuinely one of the worst seeds I have ever seen for food. We have to go this far out to see a forest, which isn't a good food biome, and this far out to find a taiga, which theoretically could give us food via sweet berries. But guess what? None are in here anyway. No food. What the heck? I am amazed. I combed through this a couple of times just to make sure that I got this right, but I saw a chicken and then I saw what I thought was a sweet berry, but actually was a rose. Or sorry, it's a poppy these days. So if you want a poppy, this is me being a boomer. I haven't adjusted to a change from 2011 Minecraft, okay? But okay, you can have a poppy if you want, or you can have some iron nuggets. Or, if we go to this village over here, we have our final savior, where you can eat pumpkins, or like, cats, or indeed, if you really wanted to, you could go to this blacksmith, and what are you going to find here? A gold ingot. Okay, so this seed is absolutely dire when it comes to food, and so it's pretty good if that's what you're looking for. I hope it's not. But I have a reveal to share with you, which is just like people who had to report to a big scary figure that they wanted to be seen as good with, I may have exaggerated just how much snowy taiga there was, because although if you go any direction of spawn, you will find this. I say any direction, but actually directly ahead of you, where you will find a plains, which does make it just a bit more bearable. But I'm being dramatic. This is a 4, a 1, and a 4, the most genocidal of our seeds. But actually still not that genocidal, right? I think this teaches us something really interesting. So now we're done, we can reflect on what it is that we've learned from having all of these scores here together, and honestly, the big one is that there actually is a slight positive correlation between the number of people someone has killed and how bad their Minecraft seed is, in my humble subjective opinion, at trying to kill you. But also, the more interesting thing than that is actually all of these seeds are pretty solid and aren't that terrible under any metric, and that's because ultimately, basically all Minecraft seeds are solid enough. You rarely will find a Minecraft seed that is really terrible in any way, and if it's really bad in one way, it's probably pretty fine in the rest. I used to think that if you used a Minecraft seed, that wasn't a blank one, you were being a little silly, because what's the difference between just typing in nothing and typing in something silly? The world's silliest people we went through today? Well, actually, I think there is a certain joy in having a seed with a backstory, and so does your Minecraft seed matter? Well, I think yes. I think it's better to have... I think ideally your backstory shouldn't be you named it after someone murderous, but actually naming your world after something a little fun might just be worth doing, and so if you want to add lore to your world, you could name it after anything, even a genocidal dictator. Man, yeah, that is the lesson, apparently. This was a weird video. If you enjoy the weird Seed Sundays we've been doing recently, make sure to check out the brand new playlist. Bland's new playlist, yeah, that's the... But make sure to check out this playlist. I can assure you it's significantly less genocidal, and I can also say that this thumbnail by Harrison is beautiful. But with that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.